Everybody, welcome back to Off the Wall. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sol.
I don't have my green light turned on. This show doesn't deserve it. So we're here to talk about, that's it, end of review. We're here to talk about the season finale of She-Hulk and kind of just talk about the season overall, like we like to do when we get to a finale. I tweeted, because I watched this at like 6 o'clock this morning when I was at work, and I tweeted out when after I watched it, and I posted a short on our YouTube channel as well. I don't know how I feel about this episode. I know that it didn't, for me, it didn't stick the landing. I'm walking out of the show with this being something I didn't enjoy. I liked about 2/3 of this episode, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it in a little bit. Before we go further, just want to preface things. Look, if you liked this and this did it for you, and I know that we're kind of in the minority on this. A lot of people online have been saying they love this. Fantastic. And if you didn't, fantastic. Don't fight about it. It's a TV show, guys. Have your opinions and let other people have theirs and shut the hell up. Anyway, Sol, how did you feel about this?
So you messaged us this morning and then I saw your short and I was like, oh no, what are we getting into? And I'm watching the beginning of this episode and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And I was like, what was Mike talking about? And I can tell you exactly, like right around the 14-minute mark is when I started hating this episode. See, you don't know how you feel about this episode. I fucking hated it.
You fucking hated it?
It was terrible.
Okay. We're going to get into this because I'll explain why I like it and then, but yeah, please, like, go on.
it was like, I liked the 7th episode more than you. I loved the last episode. I think you did as well. And then the first 14 minutes of this episode was amazing.
I was like, oh, we're gonna do the thing. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it, guys. Guys, we're gonna do it.
It was funny, well written, well acted, and then the fuckery begins.
That's just what I'm gonna call it anytime we review something and everything goes to shit real quick. Just the fuckery begins. They do the classic Hulk intro. I'm so glad I was alone in the office when that happened. I laughed so goddamn hard. I was clapping. It was so good. The humor was on point. We picked up just about right where the previous episode left off, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, we're doing the thing. Yeah, we're seeing
high stakes.
Yeah, we're seeing fallout immediately. She acknowledges, like, why, like, this is just me getting screwed. And it's like, yeah, it is. To the point where I almost don't understand why you're getting screwed from a logistics standpoint. But I have to remember that this takes place in a version of LA where all lawyers are idiots. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit. And then, she goes to Blonsky's and I'm like, I mean, you could text Matt, but sure, go to Blonsky's. And we're fine. We're doing good. We get to hang out with Nikki and Pug. Always good. Love them. Love them. I wish they had more screen time this season. Ginger Gonzaga is flawless and an angel and must be protected at all costs. Pug is just I just want to squeeze
and her fashion is on point.
Y'all, give whoever did costuming in this season for Nikki, give them an Emmy. Because every episode, she is serving looks.
Yes.
It was, I have no fashion sense whatsoever. You guys watch us every single week. I wear a t-shirt every single time. She looked good every single time. And it just, Pug's trying to infiltrate. And I'm like, he's such an idiot. And I love this.
She has to give him like, oh, this is what an incel sounds like. I know. Which means he's so pure.
Well, we had that episode early on with the elf where she turns into him and pretends, I hate women. And he's like, I don't. You guys know me. Come on. Like, no, he's the most allied of all allies. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's one, like him and Matt Murdock are like the only guys in the show where like every other guy is a piece of shit, and they're like, but there's two that are good.
Yeah.
But man, and the humor too, like when Jen is like, she has to put on the inhibitor so that way she's not she can't be Hulk anymore. Like that's the plea deal for her to get out of jail. And
Yeah.
when her parents are picking up and her dad is like, people go to prison every day. Like
Oh my
I
God.
laughed out loud. I was at work. There was people in the office. I laughed. I laughed at him like spraying. He goes,
Oh,
I don't care if there's a drought.
water pressure for days.
I got water pressure for days. And then the two when Todd is infiltrating, and then they're like, he's hot. And then someone in the background just goes, I'd smash him. Like
We're
I was
vibing right
like,
now, man. We're vibing.
yeah, I was just like, this is hilarious. This is absolutely like it's depicting like what these like incel trolls are like. Like they call women females, they do not call
Yeah.
them women. Like when she said, oh, just call them females, I was like, oh my god, that's true. That's
Oh,
so
yeah.
true. And
Yeah.
so I was like, the last two episodes and the first 14 minutes of the show, I was like, this is what I've been waiting for.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the fuckery begins.
So the ultimate fourth wall break happens. And here's where my feelings get mixed. Okay. On one hand, objective, I love meta humor. Objectively, that's very funny because you were watching it on your phone.
Yes.
I was watching it on my computer. I thought Disney Plus crashed. And I've watched a lot of reactions today. Everyone thought their Disney Plus crashed for a second because all of them immediately go, wait, what's happening? And then she starts talking and they're like, oh, son of a bitch. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. The reason I'm a little mixed on this, though, is, and I've said this on many podcasts, I've always said that my pitch for Deadpool 3 should be him breaking into the MCU and basically fighting Kevin Feige, get his spot in the MCU.
I love it.
That's essentially what we did with She-Hulk in this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to sue for copyright because that's totally my idea. I love they're doing this. I feel like this should be more of a Deadpool thing than a She-Hulk thing, personally. Because her fourth wall breaking has always just kind of been talking to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
This almost felt like Gwenpool level.
Yeah.
Wall breaking. But whatever. It's fine. And even everything she's doing in the fourth wall breaking, I'm still on board because for the first time, it's like Disney Marvel is willing to poke fun at themselves because they're gonna have to be if they're gonna do Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was like, this feels like them testing the waters of this level of fourth wall breaking in preparation because we just had the big Deadpool announcement too. So for me, it was like, okay, I see what they're doing. They're testing the waters with that. I'm still on board. And even the stuff with Kevin, which by the way, whoever designed GLaDOS Kevin
with the cap.
I was about to say he had the cap, and as soon as I noticed that, I was kicking like a little kid. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then she's, we get the Wakanda music when he says like, "Oh, you need to change off screen."
The special effects is going to another project, and
and which is also because I did notice that throughout this season they were having her change off camera, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's expensive." Okay, that's funny. Then Jen tries to fix her own finale because even she says in the moment, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, like if you're going to acknowledging, we said this earlier in the wedding episode where it's like, if you have to explain the joke, there is no joke.
Yeah.
And if you have to
acknowledge that there's bad writing,
yeah,
it doesn't
feel bad writing.
The bad writing, yeah.
So she tries to fix it and just says, no, all of that's stupid. So we get rid of it. Oh, okay, so we get rid of it. Okay, cool. What are we replacing it with? The answer? Nothing.
Yeah.
She doesn't pitch. Like, we don't, like, here's how you make this episode work. She says, no, Kevin, we're not doing any of this stuff. here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And then we do it. Not take away all your stuff and then just jump to the end and everything's just fine. No. No.
The thing is, I'm fine with the fourth wall breaking, and like I thought it was brilliant the way she went through Disney Plus and all of that. And I was like, oh, this is so smart. This should not be happening in the final episode.
No. Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, this like is brilliant. It's not a final episode thing. But where I say around the 14th minute mark, that's when Emil Blonsky walks in to this intelligentsia rally. And I was just like, if Emil Blonsky is the bad guy, that makes sense. If Emil Blonsky has turned over a new leaf and is the good guy, that narratively makes sense. But he is so above these like incel trolls. Why is he here? And then like, well, you and I have talked a little off screen. You're like, okay, yeah, he might not have even known what their group was. And then when it showed like, oh, he's just doing it for the money, he's not a part of the group, I was like, okay, that makes me feel a little better. But like immediately when he walked in and I thought he was part of the group, I was like, I hate this. Like I paused it on my phone. I messaged you guys immediately. I said, what the fuck? Like, and you thought I was yeah. You thought I was at the at the fourth wall breaking? No, I was at Emil Blonsky walking into that thing.
Yeah.
And I was literally like, why is he here? What is going on? And then I was like, oh, he's doing it for the money. I was like, is this better? And then like, oh, maybe. And then when you said maybe he doesn't know what their group is, he's just, and I was like, okay, that might make me feel a little bit better.
He's got no Wi-Fi, no cell reception. He's doesn't have TV. He's just living in. So I legitimately think he had no idea who these guys were.
Right. And then you have the main guy, which of course it's Todd. Like, and someone rang the doorbell. But they agree. But the fact that he becomes a Hulk in that moment, like, and we're like, okay, like that he was responsible for taking her blood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But in the lore of Hulk, like, not everyone can take the blood so easily. And he transformed so easily and was in control so easily.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, we're like, no, it's very few people that are able to take in this blood or take in this gamma radiation and be able to transform. So I was like, okay, this is not making sense to me as, like, someone who's like a Red Hulk in the comics. And then Titania shows up out of nowhere and I'm like, what the crap? And then Bruce shows up out of nowhere. And then when Jen says, none of these storylines make sense. Is it working for you? And I was like, you are correct, Jen. None of this makes sense. But you fourth wall breaking and saying that doesn't make it better.
No.
And then you see her crash into our world pretty much, like through Disney Plus, and I was like,
pretty much
this I was like, this is clever.
Yeah.
I was like, are you gonna make me feel better about that bullshit that just happened right before?
Yeah.
And the thing is, no, because like she goes, yeah, erase this storyline. Okay, yeah, I'm glad that he's not a Hulk, but what about the blood? That completely erases Josh like seducing you, putting a sex tape, like revenge porn, like for everyone to view up, and it's probably on the Intelligentsia website as well. So it's like, it was probably not just shown there. Also, where's the repercussion for Josh? We only see the repercussion for Todd.
He's just gone. He's out.
But she's asking some funny questions like, oh, well, there'll be X-Men. What about these other things? So like that was tongue in cheek. And we're like, okay, that's funny. And like some of the jokes with it were funny too. Like, or historically we've been light with that. And I was like, what, sex or women's satisfaction? Right. Like that was when
you're sitting down.
or when she was just like, I'm a Hulk, I smash thing. Also including Matt Murdock. I was like, yes, girl. But then and she asked for Matt Murdock, which I was like, it's perfectly fine for her to ask for Matt Murdock because you know, she wants
Sure.
she wants Matt Murdock.
He wants the devil dude.
But when she comes back and then Titania's still there, that makes no sense. I would have gotten rid of her in that whole thing. Like, why is she there? There's no narrative sense for her to be there with her camera up. Like, how would she know about this at all? It makes no sense. You're like, let's make it in the middle of the day. That kind of like, okay, everyone's outside now. What's going on? And then Matt Murdock just comes out of nowhere, and you're just like, this narratively doesn't make sense. Yes, she can ask for him, but doesn't mean you have to give. Like,
Yeah.
if you go to later in the episode when they're having the cookout and he's there, then like, okay, he came back in town. But him just like plopping in there, just like, I was like, this is such bad writing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then even going later, like Hulk has a son that's out of nowhere. And it just seemed like all of these shock things were being done kind of out of nowhere on moments where it was just like, no, this could have been done so much better. Where I think her going and breaking the fourth wall into Disney Plus, I think that was brilliant. And like I said, should have been done earlier. But every other shock thing that happened in this episode, this person showing up, I was like, this makes no sense narratively.
Yeah. This episode needed an extra 10 minutes. And I know they've been following a certain structure with how long these episodes have been. The way you make all the fourth wall breaking stuff work, in my opinion, is you have her spend some time with these writers saying, here's all the things you've done this season that I didn't like. Because she has broken the fourth wall a couple times this season and been like, well, this sucks. Why did we go to a wedding in the middle of just everything? Like have a conversation with the writers, do the Kevin thing, like have them be standing there like in hooded robes, like the Council of Kevin or something. Like be, I don't know, something stupid like that. Because you're already doing a talking Kevin robot, go balls to the wall. But like, yeah, it's fine for you to acknowledge, like it would have been the ultimate meta joke if they were like, hey, we have this amazingly written finale, right? Let's double the length. Let's make it 40 minutes. Let's do the bad finale.
Yeah.
Say, no, this sucks. Break the fourth wall and say, no, we're going to write a better finale and then do the better finale.
Yeah.
I am 1000% on board for that.
Yes.
Not just this finale sucks. So it's over. Everything's just resolved because I say it is. For some reason, I'm not getting rid of Titania. And yeah, Matt's here.
Yeah, and then I'll see you in court. And I was like, that was anticlimactic.
That one didn't bother me as much because at the end of the day, she wants to do things the legal way.
Yeah.
From a character standpoint, it makes sense. It is a lame line. It's
I was like, this makes sense for her character, so that narratively made sense, but I was like, that was very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And yeah, this should have been a second to last episode if you keep the episode lengths the same.
Yeah.
Where like everyone, like if She-Hulk was actually 10 episodes, but they told everyone it's only 9.
Yes.
And then and then it actually has the 10th episode, and that's where the good finale would be. Like that would have been such smart marketing. Or do what you said, have it be longer. But I was just like, this is not something you do over halfway through the last episode.
Yeah.
It was just like, because I was just like, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. Like this stuff is good. Yeah. It's just not good here.
Yeah.
And everything around it is not good.
It didn't feel earned. If you're going to go that meta, when you consider that the fourth wall breaking stuff has been almost an afterthought through most of this season, to suddenly have her do it on a Deadpool Gwenpool level, it just felt unearned. Like we haven't seen her do that. I mean, there are episodes where she does it one time in the last line of the episode for a haha joke. Like,
yeah,
the narratively, like if I were to look at the bullet points of this episode, it's fine. Once again, and we've said this for 9 weeks, it just comes down to the script. We talked about this. I think we talked about this on another episode, but there's a difference between plot and story.
Yeah.
Story is, or plot rather, is the big picture. Or I'm sorry, story is the big picture. It's the big picture. This, like, we're telling this story, the story of Jen fighting the legal battle against these guys that hacked her and getting her justice in the end. That's the story. The plot is what actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a story problem here. We have a plot problem here. We have a script problem.
Yeah.
All the pieces for a great season, even just for a great episode, were there. They were just misused.
Yeah.
I talked about this on another show this week. We're talking about The Sopranos, and the finale of The Sopranos is legendary for how aggravating it is. And
my dad loves it. He loves the ending.
Okay, I don't want to ever meet your dad. But we talked about, someone pointed out to me that the final episode, that final shot of him in the diner, and it's in this moment we are seeing the world through Tony's eyes, where there are potential threats everywhere. And I'm like, yes, conceptually, that is a fantastic idea for an episode. That is not your finale. You do that in season 1, maybe season 2, where we spend a whole episode seeing the world through Tony's eyes, everything's a potential threat. That is what I kind of had to say about this episode. Is this was good. This was not fun. This was not a finale. And honestly, and I said this after like the first 3 episodes, that like there's certain things that happened in the first 3 episodes with Jen that, had they been done in a different order, just would have made things make a little more sense. And I think kind of this whole season in general, it's like you've got a lot of the right stuff.
Well, they even told us they moved stuff. I think like the stuff with her and Bruce, like they said, was happening later in the show, and that they moved around from like the 3rd episode to the 6th episode, and then they made it the 1st episode. And so like they were moving stuff around anyways.
Yeah.
And like Intelligentsia, that should have been shown, that should have been much sooner.
Yeah.
Like in this show, we should have known them as, like, instead of like, yeah, we had these like trolls in the background, so like it was always there, but it, like, you didn't give them the name and you didn't make them an actual threat, because as us who are here online and like do stuff online, there's trolls all the time, and they're not a threat because we don't give a shit about them. Go ahead and comment. We love it. We love it.
It just helps our algorithm, guys.
Yeah.
You can call me a bag of fuck nuts for all I care. All YouTube sees is, hey, they got a comment.
Right, exactly. So and then we laugh about it and make fun of you.
Yeah.
But
here's what I'll tell you guys. It's the same rule with comedy. If you go to a comedy show and you don't like what the comic's saying, don't yell anything. You're just giving them fuel to come back at you. If you want to stick it to a comic, don't laugh at their joke. If you want to stick it to us, don't engage with our shit. Anyway, you were saying.
But so they weren't viewed as a threat. They were just viewed as like normal, real, like unthreatening trolls in the background.
Douchebags.
They should have douchebags. Yeah, exactly. They should have been way more of a, because remember how I was talking? I was like, the way they're speaking doesn't seem exactly correct. Like they would say things like this, but not exactly the way they were saying it. And I remember, if we would have known they were part of Intelligentsia, I'd be like, oh, that makes 100% like sense why they're saying it in that manner, because they're basically a cult, like an incel cult. Like, so instead of just a random person like behind a keyboard, like they're part of a group kind of thing. So these are things that like would have helped this story along. Is that, and like some of the best stuff, like with Jen figuring out how to be both She-Hulk and Jen, and loving both She-Hulk and Jen, that happened way too late in this season. And they didn't have to, like, she didn't have to come to full terms earlier in this season, but we needed to see the building blocks much earlier, and it was all kind of more on the back half of the show. The front half was like, oh, we're just being a fun legal comedy, even though we're not really following the law very well. And then the second half had more of the emotional impact of what this show was trying to be. And that's why, like I loved the 7th episode and why I loved the 8th episode and I loved the first 14 minutes of this episode. And then it shit the bed for me. And I think you and I joked because like Bogz is like, I'm not watching this show. I don't give a shit about this show at all, or
And
this character.
We didn't help with all the shit we were talking in our group chat either.
Exactly. And then I was like, Bogz, you owe us. So let us know in the comments what Bogz should owe Mike and I for having to watch the show.
You should have to watch something just truly terrible, like something like what is just an unwatchable show or movie like that would just give us an idea, because he owes us big.
But there's good things in this and that's the thing, is like I don't want to,
a lot of good ideas.
I don't want to talk too much shit about it because you and I have talked so much shit about this show, but man, there's so many good things and so many good ideas, and I think the reason why you and I shit on it so much is because we see the potential of what this show could have been. And it fell very much short, in my opinion, and in your opinion, because if it didn't have that potential, we probably wouldn't care enough to be like shitting on it.
Yeah. It's like, I want to be very clear. Like, I'm disappointed. I'm bummed that this didn't work for me. This worked for so many people for so many different reasons, and I'm envious of them. I wish I could find in this show what other people are finding, because I'm not finding it. There are so many great ideas. There's like I said, there's a lot of potential in just the ideas they had for this show, and it just felt like they always came up short. They had this idea. We use this metaphor a lot. They didn't know how to land the plane. They had an idea for an episode. They didn't know how to like bring it to a head. And this finale kind of just really emphasizes that, where there's a lot of great ideas and they just didn't take it far enough. And part of it is, I think
they didn't go past the first draft.
No, they didn't. I feel like take 2 was a forbidden word on set sometimes. And I feel like my biggest frustration, I think, is really just they back themselves into a corner with this. It's a legal sitcom. We're the new Ally McBeal. It's like, okay, yeah, fine. You don't need to do 22-minute episodes though. Like, these episodes, part of the reason these episodes just struggled is they were like, well, we've only got 30 minutes to do it. It's like, no, you're not. You're on a streaming service. You're not on television where you're beholden to
a network
limitations. Yeah. Make the episodes as freaking long as you want them to. The Sandman had episodes that were over an hour and it had episodes that were 25 minutes. You know, the Orville had episodes that were 40 minutes and episodes that were an hour and 15. Don't even get me started on Stranger Things season 4. Okay. We get episodes that are 2.5 hours long. You can make them as long as you want. It's your streaming service. It's your show. So this it's the same kind of problem that we saw happen with things like Justice League and Batman v Superman, where they're trying to fit a duration mandate rather than just letting it be as long as it needs to be, and then
splitting it up
or doing what you got to do.
Yeah.
Your idea of like, have episode 9 be just a shitty finale for 15 minutes, and then she goes, talks to the writers, and it ends with them going, okay, whiteboard, here's what we're going to do. Credits roll. And at the end, it says episode 10 coming next week, titled The Real Finale.
Yeah.
Give us there was a lot of potential in this show. They had a lot of great ideas, and I just don't think it worked. The humor, for the most part, didn't work for me, and I laugh at fucking everything.
You really do.
Everything makes me laugh. Comics love it when I'm at open mics because I'm usually the only guy laughing at some of their stuff. And it just, I get no joy out of this show not being good, because I get that parts of it were meant to be them sticking it to the trolls, but those of us that aren't in that camp are now we're missing out on what could have been a really good show. Yeah. It's going to get a season 2. It got really good ratings. It got really good numbers. It's doing really well on Rotten Tomatoes. There's enough people out there that love the show. They're going to want to see more. It's going to get a season 2. She's going to be back. That's fine. kind of just wrap everything up here. The problem was never any of the actors. The problem was always the script and always the writing.
Yeah.
And I will never be watching the show again.
Yeah, no, Tatiana Maslany did an amazing job in this show. Like, the actors worked with what they were given. Well, her assistant Ginger, what's her name?
Ginger Gonzaga as Nikki.
Ginger Gonzaga. And even like at the beginning of the show, it was like, and we will like, she was like willing to murder by any and all means. Goes legally. She's like, by any and all means, and she goes legally. And I was like, yes, a friend willing to murder for their best friend. I am here for that. I'm here for that.
Also, I love that they did a tribute to the whole AOC thing with the video of her dancing in college.
Yeah,
that was going to get used against her. That was such a tribute to what happened with AOC when she first got elected. Loved it.
And then AOC danced in Congress, like right in front of her office. And then just a little bit of the end. Wong breaks Emil out of prison, where Emil didn't take that refuge in Comertage the first time, but I guess is taking it this time. So
I didn't care.
Okay, sure. Like that will have repercussions for future things, I guess. Sure. And I do want to say that the music has always been bomb. The song choices for the end credits have been bomb every single episode.
Yeah.
Like there's one of the songs from like a few episodes ago that like I never heard before, and I was like, I now have it on my Spotify. Like, I'm like, yes, I loved we got some Missy Elliott there this time. We run this at the end of this episode. I was like so upset with this episode. And then We Run This by Missy Elliott started playing, and I was like, and I was just like, you can at least make me happy with the music.
Good music choices. There's good stuff in this show. There's good stuff in this finale, just not enough to win me over. So
yeah,
I'm bummed that this didn't work for me. If it worked for you, I'm legitimately happy for you, and I'm glad that you've got something else you can enjoy. I'm gonna watch something else. I'm still a Marvel stan at the end of the day, and I will always watch literally anything they do. We just watched Werewolf by Night. We reacted to it. It's awesome. Go watch the reaction. There's a little thing popping up on the screen right now, so you can do that. Let us know down in the comments what pieces of shit we are for not liking this show. We love to hear from you guys. We love talking with you in the comments.
Let me know how much of a sexist I am towards women, you know.
You're just the worst. You're just
the
worst. You hate women so much. You hate that you were born one. Anyway, we're gonna check out everything we got here, guys. We're at 150 subscribers. Like, that's awesome. Thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate that. I know that this, especially with this show, it's been 9 weeks of us dunking on this show, and I do feel bad about that. But we've got a lot of other stuff we're watching that we love. Andor, House of the Dragon. There's new stuff coming up soon, so check all that out, and we'll see you guys again here next time on Off the Wall. Bye.